Welcome to Unplugged Live with Dr. Diane Smith-Clark, PhD. Get ready to get inspired by the stories of overcoming life's challenges to bring change and transformation. Here's Dr. Diane.
Hello, and welcome back to Unplugged with Dr. Diane Clark. I'm so glad you tuned in tonight. We've been covering a series of mental health issues concerning Alzheimer's and dementia. And you're going to be blessed tonight by the information that's going to be passed on to you by a licensed mental health counselor. But before we get into our show, I want to remind you that coming up September 30th is the Motown Review. And what's going to happen at the Motown Review is we're going to honor grandparents who are raising their grandchildren. We want to honor and celebrate them for their selfless love and taking on this task at a time in their lives when they really thought they would be resting, vacationing, and doing other things besides raising children. That event is going to take place at 4 o'clock at the Social, 644 Cesare Boulevard. That's Motown Review. Special guest, the Coalition Band. You don't want to miss Charles Jazzco Scantling, who's going to be there also. Plenty of food, fun, riverfront. We want you to come and help us celebrate these grandparents. There will be cash prizes awarded along with other gifts for all grandparents who attend, who are raising their grandchildren. So don't miss it. That's September 30th, Motown Review, 644 Cesare Boulevard. You can get your tickets now at Ticketmaster or on Eventbrite. We look forward to celebrating with you. Now, listen, I want you to share, I want you to subscribe, and I want you to tune in to all of our social media channels so that you don't miss any of our broadcasts or any of the information that we're sharing with the community regarding mental health. And now I want to introduce our guest. Our guest this evening is Tracy
Redman,
a licensed mental health counselor who is going to introduce herself to us. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, thank you. Welcome.
Tell us where she's working from and what office you can get in touch with her.
So I'm a mental health counselor for Florida. I work at Breakthroughs, and we are off of Old St. Augustine Road and San Jose. The phone number here is 904-419-6102. And I see everybody from 5 years old to 105 years old.
That's awesome. It sounds like you have a very productive practice. And I'm sure there may be someone watching the broadcast on tonight that would like to connect with you. As before stated, we want to talk about the increase. There's been an increase and rise in persons having Alzheimer's disease under 60. Some even under 50. I read of some cases, and I would like for you to address that to our audience so that they can understand what is Alzheimer's, how it takes effect on the patient, also on the caregivers of that patient.
Well, and Alzheimer's is kind of a general idea, and there's different types of Alzheimer's. So when you go with your medical professional, they will be able to specifically tell you what type of Alzheimer's it is. But what it basically is a breakdown of the brain. The brain starts retreating, and people's current memories start disappearing, and they start thinking that they're existing 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years back. And what it is, we're starting to have this idea of functional medicine where it incorporates a medical doctor, it incorporates physical activities, and it incorporates mental health, because you have to change the way that you think about living. And we all know, especially if we hurt our knee or we hurt our leg, we have to change everything about us, and we take for granted the independence that we used to do. So here, there's a lot going on with dementia, and part of that is it goes with the cholesterol. The brain builds based on fat. So your brain needs fat, But if you don't have healthy fat, the doctors kind of want to, oh, let's get you on some medication to control your cholesterol. But at the same time, your brain needs fat to repair itself. So it's a balance between working with your doctors that are progressive doctors, like Dr. Niels and his Bold City primary care focus. He's cutting edge with when it comes to treating and preventing Alzheimer's. So you'd have that medical aspect where his conceptualization will help you. It'll be meeting with a nutritionist to change your relationship with food and recognize that food is meant to build your body. And I know there are other doctors who look, you look at broccoli, and broccoli looks like a brain or lungs. And it kind of, each vegetable or thing that we eat tells us what it's helping in our body. So when you start seeing these new connections, the mental, the body, the physical, the spiritual, it takes on a more dynamic approach to how you're living your life, because you can change everything. It's never too late. And coming to a medical doctor, a mental health, to help you adapt to this new diet or this new way of eating, it takes that dynamic approach of body, mind, and spirit.
That is so good to know, because everybody's on some type of diet to reduce fat. And how do we know what quantity of fat in our bodies is affecting our brain? And how do we know when our brain has enough fat that it's able to repair and heal itself?
Well, and I think that, how people go back to different types of diet. They have the Mediterranean diet, and they're doing a lot more studies with these blue zones where people live over 100. My family is from Sicily, and my aunt lived to 103. My great grandmother, she was born in 1882 and died in 1982. And, one of my cousins, he lived to 108. So what do Italians eat? Italians eat a lot of olive oil and vinegar on their salads, right? Mm-hmm. So I think they enjoy food. They have a great relationship with food. Zac Efron has a show where he goes to Italy and he's eating carbs. He's like, wait a minute, I was told I shouldn't eat carbs. Again, it's natural, healthy foods that they're making every day, and it's a relationship with the foods. So I think just recognizing, like, if I just change my salad dressing to oil and vinegar, because a lot of people are now drinking, apple cider vinegar. But instead of drinking it, incorporate it into your eating. You see how it's a more dynamic and enjoyable relationship with food to heal you and help you. And, it's a wonderful relationship, and you get to enjoy your food and you feel better about eating your food.
So people who are experiencing early symptoms of Alzheimer's, what diet should they be following? Is it that the brain doesn't have enough fat in it, or what's the correlation between that?
So the brain is always going to need more and more oils and stuff. So there's different flaxseed oils, olive oils, there's a lot of natural oils that you can see that the Mediterranean diet uses. And there's other diets, and butter, people now use margarine. It's very hard to find butter on the market.
Right.
And even our milk is homogenized. It's created to be mixed all together, but natural milk has all, so it's just recognizing that it is going to cost a little bit more. It is going to be a different relationship. Over in Europe, everybody has a small refrigerator, because every day they go to the grocery and they pick up their fruits and vegetables and they get everything fresh. Mm-hmm. So, we have that wonderful farmers market up on Beach Boulevard, and you can go and get delicious, healthy foods, make them every day. And again, it's about changing your mindset and changing your relationship with food, because food is health. It's longevity. Like my uncle, he was from France, and he was like, oh, okay, we're having quiche today, so no bread. They had a relationship with everything. In Germany, they eat a lot of processed foods, but their obesity rates are a lot less than America, because their natural ingredients, there's the foundation of what they're creating is more natural. So if you want to enjoy foods, then you know what I say? Instead of buying processed chocolate chip cookies, make them yourselves. And you'll notice, like, you could probably eat a whole bag of processed chocolate chip cookies and not be satisfied. But if you go home and you use, good like brown sugar and all these ingredients, you're going to only be able to eat 1 or 2 cookies and be full and satisfied. So again, it's that relationship. If you make it from scratch, you are putting the love in. That's the spiritual aspect. You know how, like, when grandma makes food, it always tastes different from when we make it? It's because she's putting the love in it. So if you allow that to be true for yourself and say, yes, I'm putting love, I'm putting health, I'm putting longevity into what I'm growing and eating, and then you will have those outcomes. My great grandmother, every day she would make her pizza dough and she'd be praying over the dough, praying, she's Roman Catholic, and putting her tears on it and just sowing that love into that dough.
Wow. That's very interesting. Some of us have not benefited from having grandma's cooking, but it sounds like you have. But it is important that we look after our health totally, and not just the belly fat now, but we've got to think about our brains, because of course belly fat is dangerous to your internal organs, but then neglecting the needs of the brain can be worse, because now you become dependent on another individual for your quality of life. What happens when a person enters into early Alzheimer's? What's going on with them? How can we recognize the symptoms?
And there's going to be a lot. They're going to start falling. They're going to have a lot of balance. And again, these are sweeping generalizations. So if you're falling and having, balance issues, don't take that as a symptom, but just be aware that maybe you can make some changes to the diet. But symptoms like falling, and forgetting things, or even your vision starts reducing. So you start getting a little bit more tunnel vision. And people that are in a extreme time of dementia, they can just see what's in front of them. They've lost some of their peripheral vision. So if you're standing up over them, they can only see in front of them. They don't know who they're talking to, and they're going to be scared. And a lot of people try and help their family members say, no, this is who I am, and this is where we are. And whenever you're dealing with those things, you have to recognize that you have to meet people where they are. You have to recognize that if I'm feeling confused, or if I'm feeling new for you, then it would be time to ask yourself, could this be dementia? And dementia is very hard, like I said, to diagnose. And that's why I recommend Dr. Niels for that. Is he's going to be able to tell you if it's that or something else, because as we get older, we start having things, we automatically start forgetting things. We automatically start, getting a little bit more clumsy and tired. So it's important that when you're having these things, to recognize that things are changing, but these are happening, and I can tell there's a difference from before and now. So those would be times where you can start going to a doctor and asking yourself a question. They're going to, like, what time is it? Are you losing time? Do you feel like you're forgetting things? And you're like, where did the time go? So those are going to be 3 things that you can look at. Your balance is going to be off. Your vision might be, oh, where did that come from? I didn't realize there was a car there. And then there's also going to be your own memory. Like, oh, wait, where did the time go? Or where are my keys? It's like everything goes in this abyss, and your brain just does not recall. So you're going to lose that short-term memory.
Wow, I never knew that. That's scary, because I just had a fall and broke my foot. But I hope I'm not early Alzheimer's. I hope not. But that's interesting, though, because those are symptoms that you can bypass as everything other than you're having an issue in your brain.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's important, because, we're blindsided. It's right in front of our face. But how many times do we really think about our bodies? How many times do we really think about ourselves? We're so externally focused, trying to people please and take care of everything else, that we neglect ourselves. And we will never have world peace till every individual has inner peace. And so you have to like really be aware of, what am I feeling? What am I doing? What am I thinking? Because if you're rooted and grounded in fear, the fruit of that is going to be toxic fruit. So you have to recognize, who you are, where you're coming from, and where you're going. Your GPS setting always has to be about you. So if I start seeing these things, I'm going to start thinking, you know what, maybe I can stop eating less processed food and start making my eating habits part of my living. It's my new way of being, because you're going to have to change your way of being. You're going to have to change everything, because you're going to start living from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
And so these things could just mean, like I said, it could just mean using olive oil or flaxseed oil or different oils on your salads instead of ranch dressing, adding vinegar to your salads, and even another nutritious thing is cinnamon. In the Middle East and stuff, cinnamon is used on meats and it helps digest fat. It helps sugar get out of your body. So there's a lot of things about nutrition. And what's important is that doctors don't learn about nutrition in medical school.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's good to know. So they're basically trained on organ health and system health
and pharmacies and medicines. Correct.
Wow.
So like a lot of times your doctor, if you talk to, my mental health counselor, they're just going to be like, whatever, like, and I'm okay with that. I recognize that. I do sound, but it's going to be, you're going to have to be your own advocate. You need to start, instead of worrying, worry to me is you're trying to do long division in your head. No, what's your problem? And now let's problem solve it. Okay, well, I'm worried about Alzheimer's. Okay, so then what can I do? And again, nutrition. You want to look at nutrition. You want to look at how you're treating your body. And then you want to look at the medical. Does that make sense? That's that three-pronged.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. But what I hear you saying now is it's very important that we visit a nutritionist at least once in our lifetimes to discover how to best eat for our blood type. And there was a book out, I remember reading that book that talked about if you were a certain type of blood, the different things you shouldn't eat because they're adverse to you. And when I was reading the book, one of the things that it said was not good for me was wheat. And of course, I was eating wheat bread because white bread was supposed to be deadly. But in fact, the white bread was healthier for my blood type than the wheat bread. Red meat, even though we need it for protein, had to be limited for my blood type. I was to get my proteins from legumes, from beans. I think they had peanut butter. It was very interesting reading. The issue is if you don't apply the information and you continue to eat after your trained habits, then you're putting yourself in danger of developing some form of illness, whether it's Alzheimer's or diabetes or kidney disease. There are several things can come from the poisoning of your system with improper combinations of food. So it's important that we include a visit to a nutritionist. I believe, from what I'm hearing, would benefit us sometimes a lot more than going to get that antibiotic or going to get that allergy drug. It may be something we think is seasonal in the air, and it could be something that we're eating that causes us to be susceptible to the something in the air.
Absolutely. And even people, like if you're from Florida and you go to Ohio, you might, because you're not used to that, you might start getting allergies. So it is about you knowing yourself, right? Know thyself first, because it's going to be the way your body processes. Are you a pear shape? So they do have all these people that are doing weight loss, and they are doing they're figuring out how your body absorbs things. We could tell by the way that your body stores it in your body. Oh, we can tell where this processing problem. And again, it's more dynamic. And one thing that people forget is, there's ideas of chakras in other cultures. Mm. And I know that in, some people are like, well, that doesn't seem very, very good. But we got to remember that back in the time of biblical times, the Silk Road was a major thoroughfare. So people had access to the ideas of Confucius and all these different ideas, and they kind of molded into one of the body and spirit. And you see Da Vinci, he's got that man, and he's got the 3 levels of man.
Yeah.
And we've kind of broken that up and looked at everything. We've over compartmentalized things. We've made medicine over here, mental health over here. We've just and so as an individual, you get to bring that all together. You get to figure out what works for you. What's my blood type? How does that work for me? It doesn't matter if the experts are telling me this. If this is my reaction, then guess what? The probability for me is 1.
Right. And we're only going to follow, get involved with, and participate in what seems to be our passion. So people who are more concerned about their image are going to lean towards things that tend to improve their image, how they're shaped, what they wear, how they present, and so forth. And people who are concerned about the way they feel, even though they may dress well, but they feel awful 3 to 5 days out of the week, they're going to be looking to find out, okay, why don't I feel as well as I dress? Why don't I feel as well as I do perhaps when I participate in a worship service? I am fine when I'm with other colleagues. I'm fine I'm with other worshipers. I'm fine when I'm with other people. But why is it that there is a sadness that I can't explain that comes over me when I'm alone? These things, I believe, is the cause and effect now of some of the things that have happened, of course, post-COVID. But also, I think these are things that are happening from the escalation of trauma, the escalation of calamities and things that's going on in our world. One part of the world is on fire, while the other part of the world is in monsoons. And then another part of the world is snowed to the event that people are dying in their cars. And this is all happening not across the water. These things are happening right in the midst of us and cannot be ignored. I do know that the news does not report everything that I feel people should know, but it is necessary for them, I can imagine, so that they can keep people watching to, what would you say, dumb down some of the things that's going on. But if you're a real person that's interested in what's going on in your world, you're going to search all avenues. And you're going to find out about the monsoons. You're going to find out about the famines. You're going to find out about the farmers who've lost crop and has reduced our ability to get fresh foods. Now they're growing our vegetables on trucks, and they look like they've been grown in the ground. They look like they're perfectly healthy, but we're ingesting chemicals that our bodies are not designed to handle. So the news locally here, I don't know if you've seen it, has been encouraging people to start growing their own vegetables, their own foods, whatever they can learn to grow and eat from that. And instead of trying to buy even the escalating costs at the grocery store, Tracy, feeding one person can exceed $500 or $600 a month.
And that reminds me of my one of my things, that my plumb line in life is this Kenyan proverb that says that self-care is medicine to the earth. Because like you said, if we're worried and we're divergent about everything, that's above our pay grade. But if we act, they say locally to act globally, but you have to first act with yourself, because you can't give away what you don't have. So if you don't know how to set up your GPS to have inner peace, that's where a counselor is going to come, because all those external things are not going to matter unless you have that inner peace and you feel like, yes, me taking care of myself, I can now give that away. And that is that positive resonance that we want to be doing. And that's what our job is on this planet. Our job as each individual is to have inner peace. So if you take any way, I would like everyone to take away that Kenyan proverb, that self-care is medicine to the world, because people are going to tell you that self-care is selfish. But let's listen to a proverb that's been around since the foundation of countries. Okay. It's been around for millenniums. Self-care is medicine to the world.
That's so important to know, because really you should be the most important person to yourself before you can even present yourself to God, before you can be involved in any form of spirituality. It requires you to be present with you. And that's a good point, because I mean the escalation in mental health issues is leaning now towards 6 and 7 year old children
Yes.
having social trauma, internal trauma. They're concerned about things because there's not enough money in the household, or
Mhm.
not able to do a lot of things that they see other children doing, and we bypass it and call it temper tantrum, or we just say, oh well, you sad today, why are you sad? And then we overlook that there is a pattern to it, and we need to get help for it. There is a need to increase mental health awareness in our communities, because it would reduce some of the crime, it would reduce the rapes, it would reduce some of the shootings and the killings, because people would be more in touch with the value that life represents.
Absolutely. And that they're empowered. They're designed to become powerful individuals. And that's what I help them do. I help them align to themselves by putting the oxygen mask on themselves and recognizing that they're problem solving, right? What's your preference for the outcome? And you can trust, if you trust yourself, if you're going to create a preference for your outcome, it's going to be a positive preference and it's going to go forward. That's how you pay it forward, is you keep yourself. And I see patients as young as 5, but part of that is like, yeah, I'm going to have to see the parents too, because again, we have to change the way we're doing things. We have to change the way we're thinking, because I want you to think like character traits that you want. You are the garden and you have to plant those seeds and the tree will naturally develop. So if you want the fruit of being influential and powerful, you have to understand that. How will they know unless they're told? And I have people from homeless people, generational homeless people, to people that I will never make that much money in eternity. Okay, these people. So I mean, I see the gamut of,
Yeah.
and all of them just need to put their oxygen mask on themselves, define who they are, define what they want, and set their trajectories.
That's so important. And unfortunately, we have vast segments of our community who have not been exposed to that information. You need to set your own trajectory. You need to decide what it is you like, what you want. And we're supposed to learn those things early on cognitively from our environments or people who are interacting with us. And if you're interacting with people who don't have that, then they cannot give it to you. But that's not an excuse for you to live a mediocre life, or have a mediocre lifestyle, because there's so much information available. And if you would open your ears to what's around you, you will eventually find paths that lead to your own discovery and bring you to places of wholeness, which is why a lot of times we need counseling, we need therapy, and sometimes we even need psychiatry.
Absolutely. And there it is. You see the dynamic 3 layers. And
Mhm.
so if any of those are out of alignment, yes, you're going to have problems, but it's okay. Come to a place where you're going to feel accepted. You're going to feel empowered, and, put the oxygen mask on you first.
Yeah, that they tell you that on the plane. Should
But
the oxygen mask go down, right? Says, hey,
98% of people will put it on everybody else but themselves, because that's what we're indoctrinated to do, because it's selfish to do self-care. But let's go back to that Kenyan proverb. Self-care is medicine to the earth. So be your own medicine person.
mm-hmm. And it's very important, because if I don't take care of myself, who is going to have the initiative to do that for me?
Yeah.
Who's gonna, I could, if something happened in my life right now, as I survey the people that are really close enough or active enough in my life, that it would put such a drain on their lives to try to hold me up, or take care of me, or think for me even, which is what happens when the mind is under attack many times. there would be scarcity, and it would really just drain the life out of other people trying to care for you and love you. So it's important that we do have self-care. And I'm not talking about being selfish. There's a difference in being selfish and having self-care. Even the Word of God teaches us that we are to have self-care so that we can, that's right, we're supposed to be have self-care first, and self-care will cause me to love my neighbor as myself. But if I don't self-care me, I am not going to help self-care you in a manner that's healthy for the both of us. It usually turns into codependency or some unhealthy relationship that's tied there, that neither person now has a really grip on what self-care is.
And that's why I'm grateful for people like you that do these Motown reviews and bring in grandparents and say, hey, we love you, because they don't feel supported. And it's sad that even, people think that they're a burden, but it's a gift. We love to connect. But what happens is we can start to resent people we love if we feel ineffective at things. And so what I do is I unstrain the genie, right? We're all like genies. We're tied down by the mental, manacles of our mind, and we feel like we can't do anything, but we're designed to do everything. We live in a paradox, and we need to learn how to exist in this paradox with power and, and trust and love and resonate that. And that's why I love this Motown review. And I know that, when you're doing something different, it's a paradox. You're going to have the haters, and you're going to have the people that see the vision.
Right. And a lot of people that I've talked to, when I told them what we were doing, they say, oh, that's a great idea. But there's no buy-in. There's no, you know what? I'm going to help you pull this off. I'm going to work with you. I see the value in this, but I'm still working very strongly toward making it a reality. And listen, if you're watching and you're a grandparent that's raising your own grandchildren, or you want to nominate a grandparent who's raising their own grandchildren, you can contact us at, just go to my website. The information is there for you to fill out the form at drdianeclark.org. That's DRDIANECLARK.org. And there you will find information to either register or nominate a grandparent that you would like to see celebrated on September 30th. So don't wait, don't hesitate, because we want to get those tickets sold, and we want you to come and celebrate with them on September 30th. Well, Tracy, this has been a pleasure talking with you. You're my kind of people. I guess you know that.
Yes, absolutely. We connect for sure.
So I really want to have you on again. And so I'm going to keep your information. And once more, I'd like you to tell our audience how they can get in touch with you, that you, whether or not you're taking new patients, and how they would benefit from coming to see you.
Well, if you want to change your life and you want to understand how you can be empowered, please feel free to email me. My email is Tracy Redman, REDMAN, LLC @gmail.com. I'm currently at Breakthroughs on Williamsburg Parkway, and the phone number there is 904-419-6102. I am planning on attending this review, the Motown review, and connect, because 90% of success is showing up. So, show up and connect and show people, hey, I want to change my life. And just showing up there, that's the new trajectory. That's changing your life.
Thank you so much, Tracy, for joining us. And we look forward to future fellowship. And I hope that some of you who are watching the show realize how much mental health assistance can benefit you, not just you, but benefit you and your family. And reach out to some of these guests that we have on the show. We bring them on the show to make them visible so that you're able to get in touch with them and receive the help that you need for your life. Once again, this has been Dr. Diane Clark with Unplugged. Like, share, and subscribe to our broadcast. We love you, and we want to hear from you. God bless your week. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for Unplugged Live with Dr. Diane Smith-Clark, PhD, helping to bring change and transformation in the mental health space within the church community. Dr. Diane wants to hear from you. If you have any questions, comments, guest recommendations, or program topic ideas, visit DianeUnplugged.com and click the Contact Us link. Dr. Diane also appreciates your prayers and your financial support. You can give online at DianeUnplugged.com and select Donate. If your business or ministry organization is interested in sponsoring this program, you can go to DianeUnplugged.com and click the Contact Us link. Unplugged Live is on all the social media platforms. Just search Dr. Diane Smith-Clark, follow, and subscribe. Unplugged Live with Dr. Diane Smith-Clark, PhD. Healthy mind, wealthy life.